Fred Hollywood Moore.
My man, GK.
From WDIA. I like to say that.
Yeah.
WDIA. How you doing, Freddie?
I'm doing great, man.
Now tell us your history, man.
Man, you know what? It started Indianapolis, Indiana. That's my hometown. And I started on my local high school station back then when I was 16. Yeah. Believe it or not. And I started off doing classical music. At lunchtime, you know, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, man, you would never know that. And then I started doing sports, doing some sports casting, and there wasn't too much fun in that, you know. And WTLC was the first FM station in Indianapolis area at that time. Okay. And, you know, a guy in our high school class, you know, he got the first break on there, and, you know, he said, man, come in and do the news for me, man. And so that's when I did that. Before I knew it, I had my own show.
How'd you get down to Memphis?
Well, I took the long route. From Indianapolis, I went to St. Louis, did 2 years over there at a station called Magic 108. And from there, Renee Ferguson, she's with CBS. She was with CBS News in New York. And she was part owner of a radio station in Gary, Indiana. And she called me and asked if I could come up and program the station because they were just getting off the ground. I'm like, yeah, I'll come up there and give it a kickstart. So I was up there 2 years and took it to #1. And that, you know, I was living close to the lake. That snow got to me. I'm like, man, I need somewhere warm.
How long were you at DI Hollywood?
23 years. 23 years. And Bobby OJ, he was in Chicago on the radio up there at that time. And so he knew me. He came down like a year before I did. And then when I sent my audition tape, you know, he remembered me from the Chicago area. And I said, man, I got an opening, man. I said, hey, I'm there.
So you're just freelancing now then, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much doing voiceover work, do the national voice for AutoZone and a couple other spots for the Colors Agency. So, yeah. So
you tell everybody around town I said hello in radio.
I sure will. Man, it's definitely
Fred Hollywood Moore. DI for how many years?
23 years.
Wow, 23 years at DIA, Fred Hollywood Moore. I'm George Klein, it's Memphis Sounds. George Klein at Memphis Sounds. It's easy to be a title sponsor. All you have to do is call executive producer Herb O'Mel or director Tommy Warren at 901-415-2833 and help to keep the Memphis Sound alive. David Porter, my man, Hobosack, Robosack, and all them. So what, Isaac, and we used to call you and Isaac, Hobosack, Robosack?
Those were the code names.
Those were the code names. How you doing, David Porter?
I am doing great, George. Thank you so much.
Playing a lot of golf?
Every chance I get. And in between, I want to write a song.
David, how did it all start for you over on Macklemore?
Well, actually, that's a long, long story, but since we got a short, limited time, let me abbreviate it a little bit.
Give me the Reader's Digest.
Well, I was a kid who wanted to be in the music business, and I was trying to find an avenue to do that, and there were no labels around, no recording labels locally around. So I decided to try to locate one. I was working at a grocery store in high school, and I saw this building across the street. Some people were just moving in that building, and I went over to find out about it. So when I go inside, I find out that it's a country and western label. They were recording a couple of artists, one by the name of Charlie Hines and another by the name of Nick Charles. And
he was a disc jockey, and Charlie was a preacher.
I found out that they were recording country, and I found out that the label was called Satellite Records. And because I was adamant about being in the music business, I didn't not let the fact that it was a country and western label deter me. I was simply trying to get into a recording situation. So I started hanging around and going over there in the evenings, and eventually wrote a couple of songs with Chip Smallman, who was there. And the rest is history. I stayed persistent with it, and the wonderful lady, Estelle Axon, when she had convinced her brother to convert over to R&B music, I was there and was
home free then.
And I was the first staff writer for Stax Records.
Well, David, how was it that you hooked up with Isaac Hayes as a co-writer?
Well, as I mentioned, George, I was the first staff writer for Stax Records, and I'd already had records out, one on a young artist by the name of Barbara Stevens, and I was looking for someone to collaborate with. And Isaac was around the place, and I approached him to see if he would be interested in forming a team. And we talked about what it would mean to have a team comparable to Holland, Dozier Holland at Motown. Motown was cooking at the time. And Isaac was the one that got it. I mean, we talked about a concept of how to do that and how we wanted to make it work and how we wanted to have a slant slightly different. And we stayed true to that. And a couple of guys who wanted it very, very badly, I convinced him we could do it, and he was convinced as well. And we stayed bonded together and loyal in that respect. And we thought and acted alike in so many respects, and it worked.
So part of Memphis music history. David, when you and Isaac were writing together, David Porter, did you guys write from a title? Did you have the lyrics and the music first? What came first?
Well, Isaac and I had a philosophy about creating called controlled emotion. So the first thing we'd want to do is to find out what arena of operation we would be functioning in. Would it be a happy song or sad song or whatever that mood was? We wanted to first capture that, and then we'd think in terms of, okay, now let's create the subject matter. We'd then create the subject matter relative to that, and we would make the music marry that. And so we'd make the mood and attitude of the music marry that. So when you'd hear when something is wrong with my baby, something is wrong with me, you would be captured by the mood of it being complementary to the melody and to the message. And you hear, hold on, I'm coming, and that kind of energy, that energy of rushing to you and coming to you could feel that in the rhythm of the track that we worked. And that was the philosophy that we worked out of.
David, before we let you go, there's a story behind Hold On, I'm Coming. Is it true? Well, I'll let you tell the story.
Well, you know, this was a song that ironically has made bathrooms be looked at in a different light, because actually Stax Records was, many people know, was a studio, but it was a converted movie theater building.
Right.
And so what was happening there was we used to use the restroom at the top of the studio as a echo chamber. But it also was still a restroom. And so Isaac and I was working very, very late one night, and we generally would come up there 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd be writing songs. Yeah. And so I decided to go to the restroom. I needed to go, and I went. And so Isaac was playing around, and he got a little anxious and screamed, "Hey man, let's go and finish this thing off." And I said, "Hold on, I'm coming." I came out of the restroom and said, "Man, I got the idea that we got to work on." He said, "What is it?" I said, "Hold on, I'm coming."
Wow.
And we wrote the song in about 20 minutes.
Great, great story. David, you are very historic. You're a legend in Memphis music. You should tell Rhonda that I said hello.
GK, I'll do that. And you are the true legend, my friend.
Okay, take care of that arm. I know you've been playing a lot of golf lately.
A lot of golf.
David Porter, ladies and gentlemen, Memphis Sounds with GK.